Hello everyone, I'm getting straight in. I really didn't think there would be an adjustment period. Maybe that was naive of me, maybe I was being very arrogant in myself, but I genuinely thought that when things started getting busier again in my life, from having been doing nothing in the sense of theatre. Like, I've been at home and I've been writing. Obviously at the beginning of lockdown I was doing the final edits for Into the Spotlight, and then I moved on to another writing project. I mean, they overlapped in the end. So I've been working from home and I've just been, you know, making videos, but the energy required to do those things is mental energy rather than physical energy. It's a lot of focus and concentration as opposed to getting up and leaving the house and rushing around London and doing 8 shows a week. Like, minimal physical energy, but a lot of mental energy. I think about it now and I'm like, of course there would have to be some kind of adjustment period where you've been at home for the last 6 months and then things start picking up again. Of course there's gonna be a certain amount of time where your body feels that, where you're like, oh, we're doing things again now, we're being way more active, like 100% more active than we have been for the last 6 months. Obviously, there was gonna be some kind of adjustment period to that, and I don't like it. Back at the beginning of the year, I had just come out of doing 12-hour days. So we were rehearsing from 10 till 5 for the Sondheim production of Les Mis, then scooting over to the theatre to be there for 6:15, doing vocal and physical warm-up on stage, and then doing the show in the evening, the staged concert version of Les Mis, from 7:30 until 10:30. So long days, and I was writing a book and I was doing all the other bits and pieces for Cinderella in the meantime, and I was just sort of ploughing on. I was just getting on with it. And yeah, I was tired, but not to the point where I felt incapable. My tiredness didn't feel like a hindrance to the things that I was doing. Now, I feel like I'm a weird level of drunk all the time. I constantly feel like I've had 4 gin and tonics. And it's led to this vicious cycle where the more I do and the more things I have to sort of stress out about, the less I'm sleeping, but then I'll wake up and stress out about the fact that I haven't slept, which then leads to me not sleeping again. And before, when that tiredness wasn't a hindrance and I could work through it, which I definitely shouldn't have been doing, by the way. I don't like this idea that I am sort of like almost glorifying to a certain extent how I was able to work through the fact that I'd only slept for like 3 hours the night before and I was still able to plow on. Like, I hate that I was doing that, but it annoys me now how I've gone to the other extreme where I'm nowhere near as busy as I used to be, but now that things have started to slowly pick up, I am getting tired because my body's just not used to it, because it's literally been in lockdown for the last 6 months. I've just been in this house for the last 6 months, and even just the slightest tip of the scale in the busier direction is now making me knackered to the point where I feel drunk. Like, I will come home from half a day of like recording and I'll go, right, okay, I need to sit and write, and I'll sit in my laptop and I'll just be nodding off and I'll have to go and take myself off for a nap. And as I said in a video a few weeks ago, whereas like I would only nap if I was ill. Like, the only time that you would ever find me sleeping during the day is if I was really ill, and like that was a sign that you had to like worry about me. It's necessary, obviously. My body's going, you need to sleep right now because you are tired, and I'm not gonna begrudge myself a nap just for the sake of powering through. But I've got this voice in the back of my head that's going, you're so lazy, you're so lazy. And it's just because, looking back on me at the beginning of the year, I knew what I was capable of doing within 24 hours. And whilst I know that was also quite an unhealthy way of living, because I was just burning out like once a month and having these massive meltdowns where I'd just be like, I've said yes to too much and I can't do it all and I don't know what to do, because now I've got myself into a situation where I have to do it all. Obviously that is not an ideal situation, but now, as I said, I've gone to the other extreme and I'm kind of trying to fight my way back to some kind of middle ground. I don't like this adjustment period, and obviously I know it's necessary and can't really be helped, because obviously there was going to be some kind of adjustment period when you start going back to work. after having not worked for 6 months. It's hard to explain because obviously when you're doing 8 shows a week, it is physically demanding. You are running up and down stairs and you're doing dance routines and you're on stage and whatnot. But it's also the way that the mental and emotional side of it takes a physical toll. Les Mis, for instance, I had 2 big fights, and even though they, you know, didn't take up a whole lot of time on stage, I'd be hitting the floor at quite a force and, you know, had to be crying throughout and singing throughout. And so it'd be things like that, like managing breath control whilst on the floor, hunched over, being kicked in the face and then hit in the stomach, and then, you know, all of that stuff. That was where I found it most physically demanding. But also the nerves and the adrenaline. Like, I had a thing today at the Palladium and I've been nervous for it for the last week. So last night just didn't sleep. Woke up this morning filled with nerves, like couldn't really eat, feeling really sick, and just, you know, that nervous, filled with adrenaline feeling. And you know, I was only in the Palladium from 1:45 until 5. Not a huge amount of time, but I spent the whole of those 3 hours like, ooh, like this, like so nervous and so filled with adrenaline. So by the time I got home, I was like, ugh. It's weird how your emotions and something in your own head can take a physical toll on your body. So the things that tire me out during an 8-show week aren't necessarily the obvious physical things like running around and doing dance routines and fight calls. It's like the emotional side of things and the nervous side of things and the adrenaline rush side of things that really take their toll on me physically. It's the emotional and the mental things that then relate to how my body reacts that make me tired during an 8-show week. And because I've had so much of that recently, I've had so many one-off recording days or one-off performances at the London Coliseum or the thing I did today at the Palladium, things that require me to be really switched on and really focused and concentrated. And, you know, it's a one-off, so you have to get it right on the day because this is the only chance you've got, and you need to get all the words right, and you need to get it perfect first time, and all of those things that usually you don't worry about in an 8-show week because you would have done 5 weeks of rehearsals or however many weeks of rehearsals before you go into the shows, so you know exactly what you're doing. And then if you screw up one performance or a little bit of one performance, you're like, it's okay, I've got 7 more shows this week to perfect it and get it right. Slash, I've got another 400 shows this year in order to perfect it and get it right. Basically what I'm saying is I don't like this. I don't like coronavirus. I don't like being robbed of my stamina. That's what it is. I've been robbed of my stamina. I had such momentum at the beginning of this year. I had the stamina to do 8 shows a week and all of the other stuff that I was doing on top of those 8 shows a week, and I haven't done 8 shows in a week for so long, or anything that would require stamina for so long, that I have lost my stamina and I hate it. And it's hard because obviously I can start, you know, running more, which I have been doing. I've been running 3 or 4 times a week for the last 6 weeks according to my Nike app. So, you know, I'm building up like physical stamina, but until you get back into 8 shows a week, nothing can quite prepare your body for that, because like I said, it's not just the physicality, it's the nerves and the emotions that you put into performance that really make you tired, that really take their toll on you. I just want to get back to it as soon as possible so that I can get that theatrical 8-show a week stamina back, because I miss it. Rant over. I am done. I will see you tomorrow.